Village of Burr Ridge for July 11, 2022. We have lots of special people here tonight for a special occasion, but one person in particular, Carter Husarek, is going to come up and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Come on up, Carter.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Carter. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Trustee Francis. Trustee Schiappa.
Here.
Trustee Paveza.
Here.
Trustee Snyder.
Here.
Trustee Mattal.
Here.
Trustee Smith.
Here.
Trustee Grasso, or Mayor Grasso.
Here. And Trustee Francis did speak with me a couple of times this week. He's out of state on a vacation, and so that's why he's not here tonight. All right, tonight, the reason we have so many special people here is we have swearing-in ceremony of Deputy Chief Ryan Husarek and Sergeant Christopher Garcia. Chief Madden?
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Mayor, Board of Trustees. I'm honored to be with you tonight to introduce to you Deputy Chief Ryan Husarek, will be sworn in tonight, and Sergeant Chris Garcia. Ryan Husarek was hired with the Burr Ridge Police Department in 2005. He was promoted to Corporal May 2012 and promoted to Sergeant in August of 2017. Chris Garcia was hired in October of 2009, and since 2014, he has served as an officer in charge. We're very fortunate to have these two outstanding officers on the department and to be able to assume leadership roles with us. And the good news is, it was Ryan's first day. We had a staff meeting at 10 o'clock, and I gave him his duties, and he's here tonight. So he didn't change his mind, which we were afraid of. So we'll start out with Ryan Husarek. Next, would Chris Garcia and his family come up?
Christopher Garcia solemnly swear or affirm that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Illinois, and that you will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of police sergeant according to the best of your ability.
Yes, I do.
Okay, now all the rest of you have to stay for the whole meeting. You can go. Wow, that's a crowd. Yeah, Al thought he was in trouble tonight. Didn't know what he did.
Thank you.
We're all for Paveza tonight. Garrett, way to clear out a room.
Yeah, I was going to say, the chief really knows how to clear out a room. Okay, that takes us to item 4, the consent agenda. All items listed with an asterisk are considered routine by the board and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a board member or citizen requests, in which event the item will be removed from the consent agenda, discussed, open for public comment, and voted upon during this meeting. 5 minutes. A, approval of regular board meeting of June 13, 2022. B, receive and file economic development meeting of June 8, 2022. C, receive and file plan commission meeting of June 20, 2022. 6, ordinances. A, approval of an ordinance amending Chapter 8 stormwater runoff of the Burr Ridge Municipal Code. Adopt Cook County Watershed Management Ordinance by reference as amended on April 7, 2022. 8, considerations. B, approval to direct staff to prepare an ordinance approving a plan commission recommendation to approve a special use for a child care center and a fence in a non-residential district, 6860 North Frontage Road, Action Behavior Centers, Z16, 2022. C, approval of recommendation to amend an engineering services contract for final design and construction supervision of the Elm Street Culvert Project to Hampton, Lenzini, and Renwick of Elgin in the amount not to exceed $184,230. D, approval of recommendation to award an engineering services contract for design and construction supervision of the Wolf Road pedestrian crossing improvement project to Patrick Engineering of Lisle in the amount not to exceed $54,150. E, approval of a special event permit for the Mecca Center 5K Run, 1K Walk on September 10, 2022. F, approval of vendor list dated June 27, 2022 in the amount of $374,140.25 for all funds plus $221,078.54, pay period ending June 11, 2022, for a grand total of $595,218.79, of which includes no special expenditures. G, approval of vendor list dated July 11, 2022, in the amount of $122,424.97 for all funds, plus $198,376.54, pay period ending June 25, 2022, for a grand total of $320,801.51, of which includes no special expenditures. Can I get a motion to approve the following items on the consent agenda? 5, A, B, C, 6, A, 8, B, C, D, E, F, and G.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Any comment from the public? Roll call, please.
Trustee Snyder?
Yes.
Trustee Mattal?
Yes.
Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Trustee Skiappa?
Yes.
Trustee Paveza?
Yes.
5-0.
5-0, the motion passes. That takes us to 8, considerations. Consideration of amendments to the village personnel manual. Evan?
Thank you, Mayor. So the village currently uses a set of policies known collectively as the Personnel Manual. These establish, manage, and enforce our human resource functions. The manual is a product of the board. The board approves it, amends it, et cetera. But I, along with my staff, oversee it on a day-to-day basis. This manual has been in force since 1990. We have had some very minor discrete updates over the years, such as when laws may change or the like. But really, we have not done a functional overhaul or a complete look at the personnel manual as a whole since 1990. The village attorney, and our senior staff have spent the last 3 or 4 months really taking a deep dive into the personnel manual to make sure that it's modern, to make sure that it's legal and works on all bases for the village. We wanted to make sure it was reflective of both modern law and human resources practices, but also establish the most competitive employment environment for the village to attract and retain employees. There are a number of clarifying revisions, movements of statements which do not change, et cetera. So we did not provide a red line copy simply because the entire document changed in some capacity. But in many cases, the manual either remained the same or we simply clarified and specified when there was vagaries. We try to get away from recommendations and the like. We try to establish hard policies at all points. There are some substantive changes, though, in the manual which may be germane to the board's attention as noted. They are listed here in front of you in the summary. We can certainly go through any of these which you may like. But again, our default position was generally not to change board policy if we felt like the policy worked for the management staff as well as the employees, which the manual ultimately governs. I do want to thank Melissa Wolf at Storino, Vermello, and Durkin. She and I spent a lot of time working on this, so I appreciate her help. I appreciate also the help of staff, department heads, and really every employee played a role in this. We had a lot of discussions with what I'll call rank and file employees, and I'm just very proud of the work that staff did overall in conjunction with our village attorney to do and produce what I think is a very competitive document at the end of the day. I should note that this has in all aspects intended to not add benefits or cost whenever possible to this village. We've just tried to make things more attractive, such as adding and codifying work from home policies, which do not necessarily cost anything, but simply are a flexibility we have in front of us. And so we've tried not to add any benefits which may cost the village in any financial sense. But again, there are some changes we can talk about, but I'll be here to answer any questions or discuss anything the board may like. Thank you.
Okay, let's start with the trustees. Any questions from any of the trustees? Yes, Joseph?
I read it, Mr. Administrator, I thought you and staff did a tremendous job. So if you spent
Thank
that
you.
time with our valuable attorney, I think by updating everything from the home, working from home, et cetera, I think you put a pretty good policy together going forward and make it a lot easier for the village. No loopholes, no questions, no if this or whatever. I think you and your staff did an excellent job. Thank you.
Thank you.
I will second Trustee Snyder. I think you did a very thorough job, and it's current, and I think the last one probably needed some update, so I think we're in very good shape. Thank you for doing that.
Anyone else? Tony?
I agree that it's a very well-written document, and just want to make sure that we don't let another 30 years go by, before we do another one.
Yeah.
I mean, this is something that we should probably revisit on an annual basis versus every 30 years.
I think it'll end up, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, I think it'll end up being like the zoning review. We do it every year with the Plan Commission. What are the things that we found don't work over the course of the year? Put a sticky note in there and then address it with the board on an annual basis
Right.
going forward, just to keep ourselves
Yeah,
as
not an
current as
entire
possible.
review, but maybe some
No,
sections.
that one policy maybe didn't word quite right, or
Right.
needs to be updated because of law or something to that effect. But yeah, I don't want to do this again, and for some poor person in 30 years, this is a lot of time. But I think, to your point, yeah, we can build on this success and do it more often.
And then my other point is, I think it's very important for training, not only for that harassment training, but on-the-job training as well. I know we don't detail that in the handbook, but it's something that I want to make sure that our employees are aware of and have training available and offered to them.
Absolutely.
Yes, given a small staff, teamwork is essential. So.
Yeah.
Al, anything?
A couple. There's one here where it says authorizes the village administrator and board and police and fire commission that they're liable to hire a person without any of us knowing. And I feel they should at least let the mayor know what they're doing on that one there.
Yes, I think you're referring to this
Right,
point
that
here.
one there, right? Because, that they can do it on their own without anybody from the board knowing. And I can understand where sometimes you want to get approval right away, but I think at least the mayor should know what's going on.
So something regarding the consent of the mayor to authorize a hire. Again, that's just to be clear about what that is. When we are a small village, as the mayor just said, we often have one or two people doing most jobs. Most recent example is we had a vacancy in our water billing utility staff function. We were without a position for 5 weeks. People are calling every day. Water bills are paid every day. Every day we don't have someone who's in that position is a day we don't have customer service being provided to the public. I think if that's a solution, that's great, but I think ultimately the need to get authority to hire as soon as possible is something that we're definitely looking for here, and if that's a compromise the board is willing to support, I certainly would be willing to work with the mayor on that regard, just to ensure efficiency, but oversight remains in place.
Yeah, maybe just add a phrase that says, and notice to the
Consensus.
mayor.
Sure.
And notice to the mayor.
More than happy to do
Village
that.
president or mayor. Yes.
So, thank you. I did a lot of due diligence on this. I did review the current manual versus the proposed manual. I just want to commend Evan and the staff for a great job on this. There's a couple of clarities that I think I'd like to see done, which I discussed with Evan. But overall, it's a great manual. I think it covers all the bases for us as a village. So kudos to you and the staff on that. Thank you.
Yes, Al?
The other one, and I'm probably in the minority on it, the other one, we're a small village, and it's not a lot of expense, but we're maternity leave for 3 weeks, and I would think 1 week would be sufficient.
Yeah, so that's right here. Basically, we've had a lot of interest from staff, a lot of suggestion that we should have a childbirth policy, something like this, where we would have 3 weeks paid leave. This is something that I feel is very common in the private sector, but when we're not talking about significant raises, this is one of those competitive advantages the village could offer if it wanted to. I recently went through this myself. This is not put in here because of me. This is actually put in at the suggestion of others, but this would be concurrent with FMLA were it be offered. And again, this is one of those things that I just think I would like to recommend as something that can make us that much more competitive to our community comparables.
Yeah, and I think it is kind of standard procedure. It might need some clarification. I know some people choose to take it in pieces, and I don't think that's necessarily prohibited by this language, nor should it be necessarily, but for example, someone may take a week, then come back, then take another week,
No,
then come back.
it intends to be a single use.
Well, then you should maybe make that clear. And I'm speaking to 2 of my sons are with private companies where they're able to stagger it.
Interesting.
I can clarify.
Okay. And for my comment, I was glad to see something here about guns and that they're inappropriate to be here, even if you're qualified to have one. So I was glad to see that in there too.
So just clarifying section 5.6, it says that we call it childbirth adoption leave CAL. CAL may only be taken in one block of time, must be used within 3 months of the birth or adoption. So would the board like to see that be a little bit more staggered? Or is there a directive other than to clarify?
I have no problem with staggering it, but if the board would, and if you, with a small staff, would rather recommend it all be taken at once, that's.
Right.
Our feeling was that because we have fewer employees, it would be easier just to grant the block of time at once, knowing we'll just be gone and you can unplug. The staggering may cause just some issues with how long it runs out. So
Okay,
that would be
leave it
our.
the way it is then.
Okay.
And then the other thing is, how long? I mean, are you gonna take 2 days at a time for the rest of the year? Then you'd have to
Yeah.
really specify
Right.
that you can take it
Right.
2
And
weeks.
then who's counting?
I love the staff, like, if I'm unplugging for 3 weeks, I'm getting to work.
Yeah.
If I come back and forth, did Joe touch it, did he not do it, then it puts us in it puts us in a bad spot.
Okay, just wanted to discuss it. That's fine, I agree with everyone. Any other comments? All right then, any comments from the public? None. Okay, can I get a motion to approve amendments to the village personnel manual consistent with tonight's discussion?
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? Any other discussion from the public? Roll call, please.
Trustee Skiappa?
Yes.
Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Trustee Paveza?
Yes.
Trustee Snyder?
Yes.
Trustee Matal?
Yes.
5-0.
5-0, the motion passes. It takes us to item 9, public comment. Is there any public comment?
Well, we
No
have
public
the-
comment. Number 10, reports and communication from village officials. Anita?
Yes. Well, I want to thank Hannah Wyant, our community engagement analyst. We've had some beautiful concerts and a lot of fun village activities, and we've always had good weather this far, so that's really nice.
Good job, Hannah.
Yeah, good job with that. So it's so nice to see everyone there, and I've seen a lot of people from surrounding villages attend our concert too, which speaks very highly of the village. So look forward to seeing the next one, which is the R Gang, right? And there are lots of activities in store for the remainder of the year, since we're halfway there. But congratulations once again to Hannah and the staff for doing such a good job.
Okay. Anyone else? Yes, Al?
I'd just like to make the comment on the swearing-in ceremony we had. It's always reflects good on an organization that can promote from within. And I was glad to see that we were able to promote these individuals to the rank that that they have now.
Agreed. Anyone else? Okay, a couple comments from me. Johnny Cabs is open. Went the other night. It's pretty good. There's music. There's even dancing. So I know some people didn't want any dancing in the village of Burr Ridge or any music in the village of Burr Ridge, but I'm very glad to see music and dancing in the village of Burr Ridge. I also went to Yoke a couple times now already, and pretty good, pretty well attended.
Agree with you on that.
Great to have another spot in town. I also took a tour through Pela.
Oh,
Pela, I think is what
Yeah.
they're going to call it.
yeah.
Pella?
Pella?
Pella, like the window.
I was just gonna say
And what an enormous space. Because of where it is, their ceiling, they can go so high. It's going to be a very imposing space.
Do you know when they're anticipated to open?
No. But maybe Evan
I
knows.
would say between November and January, the way it's looking at it right
Okay.
now. They're moving very quickly.
Awesome.
And again, local people involved, and so that's good to see too. So all things looking very positive for the village. I should know this, but I also cut the ribbon on a kitchen bath design place in the village center, right next to Yoke.
Beach and Dill?
Beach and
Yeah, that's what I meant, Beechin and Dill. Pretty impressive, go in there, look around. Another nice addition to the village of Burr Ridge, so I'm glad to see that we're getting more rentals. I think there's going to be space occupied across from Topaz, finally, and they're doing some construction in there, they've got a lease going on?
Yeah, we do have a potential tenant lined up there,
Okay.
a grocery concept.
Right, a grocery concept, as I heard, produce. All right, so things are moving forward. It's great. Concerts have been wonderful.
very well attended.
And Burr Ridge is a very special place for very special reasons. So thank you all. With that, can I get a motion to go into closed session for the purpose of setting of a price for sale or lease of property owned by the village pursuant to 5 ILCS 120/2C6?
Is that to adjourn into closed session or recess?
We're not coming out of it, so.
Adjourn and recess, right?
So moved.
Roll call, please.
Trustee Trustee Smith?
Snyder.
Trustee Snyder.
You sound
We
the
got a
same.
bunch of S's,
Trustee,
it's okay, pick one of us,
Trustee
it's okay.
Snyder?
Yes.
Trustee Paveza?
Yes.
Trustee Vital?
Yes.
Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Trustee Skiappa?
Yes.
5-0.
5-0, the motion passes. We're in closed session.